Today, we're talking about 3 rituals that anchor your day, even when life feels chaotic. No routines, no rigid schedules, and not another system that you're supposed to follow perfectly. We're talking about simple, meaningful touch points that you can return to when life feels heavy or unpredictable and overwhelming. These rituals are designed for real life, the kind where plans get interrupted, energy shifts, and some days feel heavy before they even begin. This episode is about anchoring yourself inside your life, not fixing it. Welcome to the Becoming You podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Hardis. I'm a self-love coach, a mom, and someone who deeply understands what it feels like to lose yourself in the day-to-day demands of life. Here, we talk about self-love, identity, nervous system support, and what it actually looks like to come back to yourself in small, sustainable ways, especially in seasons where life is full or overwhelming. I'm really glad you're here. Because if you've ever thought, I can't keep up, let alone have habits or routines, then this conversation is for you. Isn't about doing more. It's really about creating anchors, the moments that bring you back to yourself again and again. And here's something that we don't talk about enough. When you're overwhelmed or stressed or emotionally flooded, your thinking brain isn't fully in charge. Your nervous system is. And that is not a mindset failure. That's biology. Research in neuroscience and psychology shows that the nervous system craves predictability, meaning, and safety. And when it feels chaotic, those things disappear quite quickly. This is why habits that rely on discipline or motivation or perfect conditions tend to fall apart for moms. Rituals are different, and I touched on this in my last couple of episodes, but rituals combine repetition, but also intention and meaning. They don't ask you to perform. They invite you to really pause and regulate and return. And I want to be clear about something because this is central to how I approach change, is that the belief is the bridge. Okay. And what I mean by that is that rituals aren't magic and they are not meant to be done on autopilot. For a ritual to actually stick, for it to change how you feel and move through your day, you have to believe in it. Change doesn't happen from the repetition alone. It happens through belief, intention, and consistency. If you're doing something while thinking, well, this is just pointless, your nervous system doesn't register the care, it registers obligation, and obligation doesn't anchor you. It actually drains you. So the real question isn't, will this ritual work? It's, do I believe I'm worthy of this pause? That belief is what turns an action into a ritual. I'm going to walk you through the 3 anchors that you can use throughout your day. And this is not to say that you should be doing these each and every day, but I do feel like it's important to try to incorporate maybe 1 or 2 of them in your day. Start small. If you can only do 1, then start with that. It's okay. And once you have that ritual in place, maybe slowly start to add another one. And what I'm going to be describing can be tailored to your specific life. Okay. We are in all different seasons, different scenarios, different family dynamics, different living. And these are just meant to be a starting point. So if one or all of them may resonate, then I think that's great. But know that you can anchor them to your own personal beliefs, your values, your own needs. And there is no right or wrong way to do it. This is yours to hold and to nurture and to adapt for your life. So just something to keep in mind. With that, ritual number 1 is really the morning anchor. How you enter your day matters. And most people think, the morning is really about productivity. Well, I have to get up, I have to get the kids ready, I have to do this and this and this, and then I got to go to work and that. Already, we are just hitting the cognitive overload as soon as we wake up. And this anchor is really just about setting your day with intention. It's about reorienting yourself before you take that first sip of coffee. And I know that's going to be hard. But as I said, the real purpose of a morning ritual is orientation. Before the world starts asking things of you, because it will. This ritual answers one simple question: where am I placing my attention today? And I fully believe that without a morning anchor, without asking yourself this, your attention's likely going to default to urgency, to comparison, or just that reactivity. So let's talk about how to set up a morning anchor. And I'm of the thought that your morning anchor should be short enough that you can't talk yourself out of it. It's easy for us to do that, but we don't want to do that. It should be familiar enough for your body to recognize it. It should be meaningful enough that it brings you into the present and not worrying about all those things that have to be done today. And this, I think, is why some of the more generic advice doesn't stick, because there's no meaning attached to it. Instead, choose something that signals care and presence. This might look like placing one hand on your chest before getting out of bed and taking that deep breath. Maybe it's taking slow breaths while your feet are on the floor to help you stay a little bit grounded. Or maybe it's choosing one grounding thought to start your day. For example, it could be, today, I move with steadiness, or I move with ease, or not everything is urgent. You're not trying to control the day with this. You're choosing how you enter it. And that can often make all the difference. You're not rushing into the day with that sense of urgency and overwhelm. Instead, you're creating that moment, that pause to actually start the day and go into the day with intention. And let's go back to that belief for a second, because some days your belief in that I am worthy of care, or I deserve a moment of grounding, it may be a little shaky. It may not be there. That doesn't mean this ritual isn't for you. On low belief days, just make it smaller. Remove any expectations. Focus on sensation instead of the outcome. Instead of thinking, this should calm me, try, I'm choosing to pause because I matter. That simple reframe can make all the difference when your belief is not there. Still showing up when that belief is not there helps build that self-trust as well. It's not pressure. Ritual number 2 is what I like to call the midday reset. It's interrupting the spiral that may be happening in your life in the chaos of the morning, when things tend to get busy and you have kids running around, or you're at work and everything's not going as expected. And even talking with some of my clients and in my Joyful Mom Collective, midday seems to be where moms tend to most lose themselves. This is when the mental load peaks. This is when stress compounds. This is when your inner voice is starting to tell you stories like, I'm behind, or I need to be doing more, or I am dropping the ball. But here's the truth. Most of those thoughts are actually not fact. They are just stress responses. So the reason why the midday reset works is because it's tied to awareness and not time. And that's to say, this reset is not rigid. You don't have to stop abruptly at 12 o'clock p.m. and do this reset. This reset really begins the moment you notice that your jaw's clenched, your shoulders are raised, your breathing is shallow, or your thoughts are speeding up. That awareness is the cue that it's time for your midday reset. Now, here's the key. You don't try to calm down, you slow down. You take a long inhale and you do a longer exhale. You drop your shoulders. You ask yourself what's actually true right now, because you're feeding your thoughts that you dropped the ball and you're still behind, when those are not the facts. So when you ask yourself what's actually true right now, it gives you a moment to pause and reflect. But that pause also tells your nervous system that you're safe enough to slow down. It brings you back to the present moment. And with that, you're going to have a really clear mind and not just feeding yourself stories, because things aren't maybe going exactly as you planned for today. Even for me, I get unhelpful thoughts. I'm not doing enough. Well, I should have really done this earlier. I think that with this podcast a lot, specifically, among other things. But there's a way that you can handle sort of the unhelpful thought patterns. And, when something comes up that feels critical or urgent, I want you to name it. Name the thought that comes up and then check it. And when I say check it, is it a fact? Ask yourself, is it a fact? In most cases, it's likely not, but take that thought, check it, and then redirect it. Redirect it into what's one thing, just one thing that I can do next. You don't argue with the thought. You don't sit there for an hour trying to analyze it. You name it, check it, and redirect it. That allows you to disengage the thought. You stop that thought in its tracks. And this is how that spiral loosens. And I want to talk about the interruptions, because at some point, you're going to be interrupted when you're in the middle of your ritual, whether it's midday or not, with the kids, the work, the noise, the notifications. That doesn't mean your ritual failed. Doesn't mean that it ends. It just shrinks. It just shrinks a little. Even one conscious breath counts. Even one grounding question counts. Rituals don't require perfect conditions, and I want you to remember that, because sometimes, and I have the tendency to do this too, if things don't go exactly as planned the first time, if it's not perfect, if it's not exactly as I think it should be, I usually just drop it and give up. That's not what rituals are about. They don't require perfect conditions. They are adaptable to our life and our circumstance and what comes up. And they require returning. Rituals only work when you allow yourself to return to them. So I'm going to encourage that as you start doing these rituals. Ritual number 3 is the evening closure. And I love the end of day ritual, to be honest. It's probably my favorite. And it's really about letting the day end, because I'm a firm believer that if you don't intentionally close the day, then your nervous system doesn't rest. That's why conversations replay at night. That's why tomorrow feels heavy before it begins. Your body needs the closure, not the judgment. Okay? If you have a habit of having your mind race at night, maybe start with this ritual. Close the day. And here's how to create closure. Okay, let's talk about it. Your evening ritual should answer one question. Can I let today be done? That's it. It's simple. Can I let today be done? It might look like writing down what's carrying into tomorrow, naming one thing you handled well, washing your face slowly and intentionally, or even just something as simple as today is complete, and say that out loud. Closure isn't about going through what didn't get done and thinking about what you have to do tomorrow, or about fixing how the day went. It's really about releasing the day. And I do this personally when I do my nighttime skincare routine. I've talked about my skincare routine many times before, and it is a 15-minute, maybe 20-minute routine, depending on how much time there is. But I usually try to carve out 20 minutes for my skincare routine. It is my way to close my day. It allows my body to rest. It allows my mind to rest. And I am not concentrating on anything except for my own self-love, my self-care. I'm washing my face, taking off my makeup, and putting skincare on my face. It is relaxing. It allows me to calm down. It allows me to release any emotions from the day, and really just allows me to get a good night's rest. And sometimes that inner critic that we all have will get loud. It's sometimes inevitable. So instead of engaging with that inner critic, try this. I'll revisit that tomorrow. That's it. Simple. That phrase creates containment. It tells your brain, not now, we're not doing this now. And something I want you to remember is that hard and challenging days still deserve rest, and they still deserve closure. And here's another bigger truth that I want you to remember is that you don't need to have perfect days. They just pretty much don't exist. You don't need stricter routines, and you don't need more discipline. You need touch points. You need these anchors, moments that bring you back to yourself. Rituals don't fix your life, but they do help make it much better. They keep you connected to yourself inside of your life. So for the next 7 days, I invite you to the ritual challenge. I would love for you to choose one ritual. Just start with one. It's short, it's simple, it's small. Not all 3. You don't have to do it perfectly. Just being a little bit more intentional, whether it's the morning, the midday, or your nightly closure. Choose one that feels like relief and not pressure. And when you miss a day, because you might, and that's okay, don't quit. Don't quit, you return. And this is the practice. This is how you practice a ritual, is that you show up even after missing a day or two. Because life, this is real life. It will probably happen, but just return. Just return and see where that ritual takes you. And then tell me about it. Either comment below this podcast or find me on YouTube or social media and let me know. I truly believe in these rituals and how they can help us as moms and individuals, whether you're a mom or not. So I think anyone can implement these rituals, and I firmly believe that they'll help you. So if life does feel chaotic right now, know that you're not doing anything wrong. It's because life is demanding, and you've been meeting those demands without enough anchors. Rituals don't ask you to become someone else. They remind you of who you are already. So start small, choose one anchor, and come back to yourself again and again. This is where that steadiness lives. And remember that you are worth showing up for, always. I'll see you next week on the Becoming You podcast.